Come on.
Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
Once again, we are on I Am the Mojo King. He is Mike Steph. It looks like it's been a little bit of a hostile takeover over here. Mike Steph wants to do the intro, so by all means.
What up, people? Welcome to another edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best in the world at what he does. Actually, it's not another edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast. It's actually another edition of Hidden Gems Football, Part 3 to be exact, in which me and the Mojo King will tackle the Sunday night and Monday night slate of games for Week 13 of NFL action. And you're probably wondering, well, why are you talking and then you disappear and then Mo talks and then he disappears and vice versa? Well, because we're recording separately, duh. Not only that, first and foremost, I hope each and every one of y'all had a great Thanksgiving, great Thanksgiving weekend, and being the fact that me and the Mojo King are outstanding gentlemen, outstanding husbands, and great fathers. Well, you know, Thanksgiving is a time of family, a time of friends, and the time can be very, very elusive of when we can kind of sneak in and give you, the masses, exactly what you need, what you richly deserve, and what you expect to get each and every edition of Hidden Gems Football. So I'm going to do this part, and then the Mojo King is going to put the magic behind the scenes, and poof, we're going to appear seamless. Right, Mo? Right, Mo? I said it, right, Mo? Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right, Mike Steph seems a little bit angry considering it's the holidays. I don't know. I think he didn't get enough mac and cheese. But let's see what's going on with Mike Steph's one big thing.
If I would have dipped my one big thing when we were tackling the Thanksgiving and the Black Friday games, then this breaking news would not have come across my lap. Friday evening, Chicago Bears head coach, or now former Chicago Bears head coach, Matt Eberflus, was fired. Fresh off the heels of a Thanksgiving Day debacle in the Motor City, in which he effectively cost his team a chance to at least get into overtime and wasted a comeback of epic proportions when they were down 16-0 at halftime against the now 11-1 Detroit Lions. And this is on the heels of game after game after game after game in which his team, the Chicago Bears, have put themselves in position, but due to faulty, terrible coaching, terrible time management, terrible discipline, instilled by Matt Eberflus, the Bears are 4-8 instead of possibly 8-4, 7-5, or maybe just with a winning record. Nevertheless, did I not call this? I don't understand why they even brought him into this season. Why they even gave him a chance to ruin another top pick quarterback. But neither here nor there. I'm going to go down a list of things that he's done just over the last month that effectively cost him his job today. Now, when the Washington Commanders beat the Bears on a Hail Mary, picking up an easy 13 yards on the second to last play, in which the Bears played way back to give Jaden Daniels a shot at the end zone for that fatal Hail Mary, Eberflus said after the game he wasn't concerned about the game. Meanwhile, the Commanders coach, Dan Quinn, said the Commanders could not have completed that Hail Mary without that crucial 13-yard completion right before the Hail Mary pass. Oh, yeah, by the way, during the Hail Mary pass, for the lack of discipline, you had one of the quarterbacks who was actually supposed to be in position during at the fans in FedEx Field or whatever they call that piece of crap field down in DC. While the play was going, and then they had to let them know, yo, dude, shut up. They done ran the play, they done hiked the ball. And then he actually ended up being the GOAT on that play, not the greatest of all time. No, the scapegoat on that play, and tipped the balls into the waiting hands of a Commanders receiver. And that was the beginning of their downturn. Now, in the loss to the Green Bay Packers, a last-second field goal was blocked. Eberflus said the team felt good about not trying to move the ball closer for Cairo Santos, even though Green Bay Packers players afterwards said they knew Santos kicked the ball at a lower trajectory on longer kicks. Now, this past Thursday, in the Motor City, Caleb Williams was sacked with just 30 seconds remained in the game, and the clock kept on ticking. The Bears had a timeout, but guess what? They didn't call it. Williams looked confused, like a confused rookie, which he is. The clock ticked down until 6 seconds, and then when the ball was finally snapped, Williams' incomplete pass downfield was the final play of the game. So if they effectively wasted 30 seconds with one timeout remaining and wasn't even able to get in a last-second field goal attempt. Now, Matt Eberflus, do you know Matt Eberflus? According to the Associated Press's Josh Debo, had the worst record among 221 coaches in NFL history with 20 or more games decided by 7 or fewer points. Eberflus was 5-17 in those close games. And can't chalk that up to just bad luck. No, it's bad coaching. Eberflus' record with the Bears goes into the books as follows: 14 wins, 32 losses. That includes a 2-13 division record, a 3-19 road mark, and a 5-19 record in one-score games. During his first 2 seasons, the Bears went 2-13 against opponents that qualified for the playoffs. And this season, they are 0-6 against teams currently with winning records. The team's inconsistency and inability to excel in big moments in big games has been well documented. And finally, they pulled the plug on this failed experiment. This goes down as the first time the Bears, in the history of their franchise, in the history of this storied franchise, did not allow their head coach to finish the season. So much for my grandiose plans in the preseason of perhaps all 4 teams in the NFC North getting into the playoffs. At least 3 of them will. And guess who will be on the outside looking in? Per usual. That would be the Chicago Bears. They have no place else but to go up after this catastrophe that has been the 2024 NFL season. And that, my friends, is Mike Steph's one big thing. Yeah!
All right, let's move to the first primetime game of the weekend. Sunday night, the 5-6 San Francisco 49ers go to Buffalo to face the 9-2 Bills. The projected total is 44.5 points, and the point spread is now 6 points. That means Vegas is telling us that San Francisco will score 19 1/4 points, while the Bills score 25 1/4 points. As far as injury news, the most important key injury is Brock Purdy. He missed last week because of a sore shoulder. Never easy for me to say, sore shoulder. And he was limited in early practices this week, practiced in full late. He seems like he's going to give it a go. I'm not convinced he's at 100%, but we'll see. One other side note, Fred Warner, the star linebacker of the 49ers, has said he's been playing through a fractured ankle for the last 2 months. Very interesting that San Francisco did not report this, much like they did not report the significance of McCaffrey's injury before the season started. And then Brandon Allen last week started with a fractured finger on his non-throwing hand, but there was also no notification of that. San Francisco is playing kind of funny with the rules. I don't like it. As far as Buffalo goes, 2 major injuries on their end. As far as the offensive skill positions, tight end Dalton Kincaid is out with a knee injury. He's missed 2 weeks. And Keon Coleman looks to still be out again. He's missed over 3 weeks now with a wrist injury. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game?
49ers have lost 3 of their last 5 games, with their 2 wins coming against the Bucs of Tampa Bay and the Cowboys, both teams that currently have losing records. This past Sunday, they got blown out in Green Bay on the frozen tundra of Green Bay. 38-10. And the only caveat was that they went into the game without Brock Purdy due to a shoulder injury. Well, he's scheduled to suit up this week, but they'll still be without left tackle Trent Williams and defensive end Nick Bosa, amongst others. They stand at a record of 5-6. And to be totally honest, they're only relevant right now due to the fact that in the NFC, this log jam in the NFC West division are within one game of each other. But guess what? The 49ers, they have a 1-3 divisional record. And it's looking more and more difficult for me to see a pathway to the postseason for these dudes. Well, you got 6 more games left to go. Who knows? Shoot. Last year, remember, the Buffalo Bills, they were 6-6. And they effectively felt like they had to win out. And not only did they win out, they won the division in the last game of the season, went down to South Beach, Miami, and beat those overrated Miami Dolphins. But we're not talking about the Dolphins, but we are talking about the Bills. And the Bills, they're coming off a bye week, and prior to that, they handed the Kansas City Chiefs their first and only loss, 30-21. The Bills have won 7 straight and seem to have put it all together, especially after the acquisition of Amari Cooper. Now, I say that because it's not like Amari Cooper has put up great stats. No. He only has like 7 receptions since his acquisition a couple weeks ago at the trade deadline. Josh Allen is having an MVP caliber year in his purest form. He is taking the collective talent that's on his team and raised the bar and raised their talent in order for them to be a cohesive team that they have not been in the past. He has an 18 touchdown to 5 interception ratio and has played in control the majority of the season. One thing that has to be taken into account is the snowfall that's expected to happen before the game, with reports saying that it could be from in between 1 foot and 3 to 4 feet of snow before game time. The weather should give Buffalo even more of an advantage. So, Buffalo. Yes, Buffalo money line. Buffalo -6. Yeah, I said it. And the over-under, I will go under because I think the weather will bring down the scoring total, but not so much on the Bills side, but on the 49ers side, because like I said, you have Brock Purdy with the bruised up shoulder. And, if it's windy up there, you need that arm strength to cut through that wind. Purdy, he knows how to throw that nice touch pass, but if his shoulder's banged up, I don't see it. And with the offensive line banged up, I don't see CMC really carving up this Buffalo Bills defense. So, once again, Buffalo Bills -6. Yeah, I'll take that. Over under 44.5. 44.5. I'm taking the under.
The 49ers have lost their last 2 games against Seattle and Green Bay. Got whooped by Green Bay with Brandon Allen running the show. Meanwhile, Buffalo has won their last 6, including pre-bye against Kansas City pretty convincingly. They're also coming off a bye this week, which means they should be a little bit more rested. In addition, that's another week that they had Amari Cooper down for practice. I expect him to open it up a lot more this week and have a strong week. When looking at this game, the only thing that really is going for San Francisco's side is that they are the 49ers, and you expect more out of them. But quite frankly, I've expected more out of them all season. To think that something will change this week is kind of hard to believe. Earlier in this week, Buffalo was a 7-point favorite. Now they're down to 6. I like them at 7. I like them even more at 6. So I'm easily on Buffalo's side. As far as the over-under, at least in principle, this should be more of a defensive game. But again, I think I'm giving the 49ers too much credit. Meanwhile, on Buffalo's side, their last 5 games, they've scored 34, 31, 30, 30, and 30. San Francisco just has to score more than 14. I think they're capable of that, especially if Purdy's back. So I'm going over.
We're talking things that make you blush, but trust us, it's a must. From awkward to taboo, we're here to guide you through. It don't matter if you're a bit of a prude, it's a prude awakening.
All right, let's move on over to Monday Night Football. The 3-8 Cleveland Browns head to Denver to face the 7-5 Broncos. Projected total 41.5 points, while Denver is a 5.5 point favorite. That means Vegas is telling us that the Browns should score 18, while the Broncos score 23.5. As far as injuries, the key one to note as far as Cleveland goes is wide receiver Cedric Tillman is in concussion protocol. He is likely out Monday, but I guess he still has a little bit of time to clear. On Denver's side, Bo Nix was on the injury report earlier in the week, but he's back off of it. He looks good to go. Those are the key injuries. Mike Steph, who you got, Cleveland or Denver?
In the mid-'80s, these two teams faced off in the AFC Championship game 3 times. And all 3 times it was a classic. The first 2 games are known respectively as The Drive and The Fumble. Miraculous moments by the Denver Broncos prevented the Browns from getting to their ever-elusive Super Bowl. And it's probably going on about 30-some-odd years since they last had a sniff. Now, when I was younger, truth be told, I was a John Elway fan growing up. He excited me and helped make me a fan of the sport. Like, Denver Broncos was my team. I've always been a Jet fan, but Denver Broncos was a close second. Those Dan Reeves teams, man, those teams were magical. What a time, what a time, what a time, what a time. But the reason I talk so much about the past is that, for me, this game owes little consequence, at least on one team, and that would be the Browns. The Browns are playing out the string after a bitterly disappointing beginning of the season. Once again, they're also on prime time, and since I just spoke about them last week, there's not really much to add because, I just spoke about it last week, and, surprisingly, the last time they was on prime time, they pulled off the upset against the Steelers. Jameis Winston gives them leadership on the offensive side that they've been lacking since they had brought in SVU quarterback Deshaun Watson. Defense has taken a step back after fighting an uphill battle early on in the season with no help, but Jameis, for all his galvanizing the troops, does come with warts, i.e. interceptions, i.e. inopportune interceptions. He's the classic roller coaster quarterback, classic roller coaster ride. And speaking of roller coaster quarterbacks, I'll go back over to the Broncos and their rookie Bo Nix. But at least it's his first year, not his 10th. The Broncos are 7-5, and Bo Nix has had a decent year so far. 8 touchdowns, no interceptions in the last 3 games, but the defense has been the revelation. Vance Joseph's led defense. They're 3rd in the league and giving up points at 16.8 points per game. You would think everything that I've said would lead you, for me, to be picked one way. Ha 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 ha! How many times have I told y'all? When y'all think y'all have all the answers, guess what? I change the questions. And the thing I'm changing is I think that the Browns might actually pull up the upset. Yeah. Tell you the truth, I was kind of thinking that maybe the Browns could be one of those hidden gems, survivor picks of the week. But we already did that. But it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me at the very least. At the very, very least, I'll say this. I'm going to take the Browns plus 5.5 and the over-under. I'm going to go under because Browns don't have that much firepower. Denver defense is something to be reckoned with. But for some reason, something just tells me Bo Nix is going to give up one. He's either going to give up a pick 6. Myles Garrett's going to get around that corner and get a strip sack. Something is going to push the ledger over to the Brown side. So the reason why, just have a gut feeling. It's on the road. Yeah, I know. But I just have a gut feeling. Denver gets on the road and then they lose a game that they probably shouldn't. So Browns plus 5. Over under? Under.
For me, this is two of the most unpredictable teams in the league. The Broncos, every time I think they're on fire and got it set up, they come down with a loss. Early in the season, I thought they'd be terrible, and look at them at 7-5, and Bo Nix looking like a professional right out the gate. On the other side, Jameis Winston is absolutely the most unpredictable player in the league. Complete roller coaster with him. So much more fun to watch than the injured Deshaun Watson. But as far as predicting the game, it makes it very tough for me. But what seems more predictable is Denver's defense. They're second in the league as far as points given up, under 17 points a game. Cleveland, despite Winston's sometime heroics, does not have much of an offense. So I am going to stick with Denver, thinking that they will win and cover the 5.5. As far as the over-under, I said I'm riding with Denver's defense, right? So I'm going to go under. So I have Denver and the under. But like I said, this game I find completely unpredictable. You won't see me betting on it. All right, Mike Steph, take us home.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of Hidden Gems Football. Me and the Bojo King would love to say thank you to those of you who view and those who choose to listen to the two of us. Yeah, it's been a great edition. When I say I'm tired, I am exhausted. And I can't even chalk it up to the tryptophan that entered my system from turkey, because guess what? I didn't have any turkey. I had chicken. Again. Anyway, I'm not going to make Mo's job harder than it needs to be. So I'm going to wrap this up like this. Hidden Gems Football. And I know that Mother F is going to put this chicken. But Hidden Gems Football has been a part of 19 Media Group. Goodbye.
Hey, Mike Steph didn't have any turkey. Maybe he had some chicken. Bye.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
All right, let's move over to the Monday night game. Oops. Hello.
Hello.
Find signs of, the Bills should score such and such in 3/4 points, and the 49ers will score such and such in 3/4 points. Why is it still recording? I said goodbye!
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone!
You didn't have to scream.
Yeah, well, that just made it funner.